A beautiful Sunday, record high here in Baltimore. And it's been a homecoming for the big man. What a Super Bowl ring for these Ravens. How about it, Tony Siragusa?
Thanks, Tommy. You know, the Seahawks are playing as good as I've seen them play in years, and that's all because of one guy, and that's Russell Wilson. And when I watch him, he has taken that next step as a veteran quarterback and the leader of this team. They follow him, they're going to go far. When I look at Baltimore, they've struggled. It's no surprise, you know, to the way that they've played, the injuries, and the consistency that they had. But they have been in every game this year. Don't forget about that. And they will fight you to the end. So I'm expecting a big fight out of this Ravens team today.
Two outstanding head coaches for two outstanding organizations. Pete Carroll, of course, back-to-back trips to the Super Bowl. 1-1, lost a heartbreaker last year. And for John Harbaugh, born in Ohio, finished high school in Ann Arbor, Michigan. He is in his 8th year as Baltimore's head coach, winning it all in 2012. Seattle won the toss, deferred to getting the football to the second half. And after injuries last week to Matt Schaub, who of course was replacing their regular quarterback Joe Flacco, they now turn to Jimmy Clausen. He came over in a trade from Chicago in November. In his career, 12 starts, 1 win. And as a starter with Chicago earlier this year, his only start as a Bear, he was shut out by the Seattle Seahawks.
Bad day totally for him, because remember, Seattle was 0-2 coming in and extremely angry.
We figure to call the name Javorius Buck Allen Plenty, the rookie out of USC, and he's off to the left side, a gain of maybe a yard. The injuries have been incredible. 17 players on injured reserve. 12 of the 17 on offense, and some of the names many of you will never recognize, and a lot of changes again up front.
And Kelechi Osemele goes to left tackle, normally a guard, and they've actually added in extra offensive lineman, I believe, in this set, James Hurst.
Bottled up at the line of scrimmage once more. Bobby Wagner there to make the stop, and of course this is a stout, talented, rugged defense under first-year coordinator Chris Richard. Bennett playing like a Pro Bowler, Avery as well. Wagner, Wright, Urban, the linebacking core, and of course been some changes back there in the Legion of Boom, but they're playing mighty well.
Yeah, Deshaun Shedd is the change at corner, and he's played very well in the last 2 ball games.
Shedd has started games at safety, nickel cornerback, regular cornerback. Flags litter the field. And it may have been Urban.
Back-to-back hard counts on that series.
Coleman, our referee today.
Neutral zone infraction, number 51. Defense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Well, that's one way to go and slow down a defensive line that brings a lot of pressure, is use the cadence, try to throw them off balance, and that's exactly what they're trying to do now.
Yeah, they flagged Urban Goose, but Bennett also 72 went along with him.
So 3rd and 8 now turns into 3rd and 3 for Clausen. And out of the shotgun, a 4-man rush. And it's incomplete as Clausen took a hit just as he threw the football from the 8-year veteran out of Purdue, Cliff Averill. So 3 and out for the Ravens on their first possession.
And one of the things that makes Seattle so good on defense is the pressure you just talked about, Tom. But usually they only have to use 4 guys to get it. They use their defensive front, defensive ends, defensive tackles, and then they let everyone else do the coverage, and it makes it very difficult to move the ball against them. They don't have to blitz and give up open zones on many occasions.
When Jimmy Clausen made that start in Seattle back in week 3, penalty flag, line drive punt by Sam Cook, played off a bounce from the electrifying rookie Tyler Lockett. But again, we go back to the penalty, and there's another one at the other end of the field. But Clausen in that week 3 start had 10 offensive possessions, 6 of the 10 3 and out. The Bears punted on all 10 possessions and only 1 time crossed the 50-yard line.
Bad setup that day, as we mentioned before. Seattle had come in 0-2, got a home game, extremely upset, ready to play, And then you're running Jimmy Clausen out there as the backup because Jay Cutler had pulled a hamstring in the game we had seen the week before.
That's right, against Arizona.
There are 2 fouls on the return team. Illegal block in the back. That penalty is declined. Offside, number 91 for the return team.
That's a first down.
Accepted. 5-yard penalty and a first down.
How about that?
And those are the penalties that just drive you nuts. Cassius Marsh, an outside linebacker. This will just drive you absolutely crazy. You're getting the ball back. You had a 3 and out. You jumped once before. Let's see where we can find Marsh. Right there, that should be him. You see him stand up there. Quit doing the pointing, Cassius Marsh, and just do the job. That's the problem you run into. You're getting the ball back. You get off the field. Why do you give it right back to them? That's frustrating for a team. It's frustrating for a coach.
So now new life for this Baltimore offense. After the penalty, first down at the 32. Lawson looking down the field. And the catch is made at the 40 by Daniel Brown, the rookie out of James Madison. He had a big reception. In fact, a touchdown reception called back on a penalty that should have never happened a week ago.
And everything came together on this play. The protection was good. Jimmy Clausen got it out on time. And Daniel Brown reaching back. Really nice concentration because that ball was behind him. And he caught it despite the efforts of Richard Sherman.
Brown, an incredible story. Young man who grew up on Isle of Wight in Virginia and dropped for a loss, a 4-yard loss by Michael Bennett. Is Terrence West. Boy, this guy is a player.
He just takes the inside route right here. Watch Michael Bennett on the right side of the screen. Gets overplayed a little bit, sees that he can come back inside and penetrates right up there. That's one thing you can't have with the run game.
You know, we're going to say it frequently today, especially on this Seattle defense. It is incredible how many starters they have that were undrafted rookies coming out of college, and that was the case for Bennett out of Texas A&M.
You get guys like that, they have something to prove.
Yep. All day to throw. Lawson now flushed out of the pocket. Defended beautifully by the 3-time Pro Bowler Cam Chancellor on Kamar Aiken. Crowd wanted a penalty.
They saw the helmet come off of Aiken, number 11. He's working against Sherman. Nothing there. And then as he comes back to the ball, calls for it. Good job by Cam Chancellor reading the quarterback and going there. And this is what they want the penalty for. Left forearm in the head area, and then the right hand in the head area, and the helmet pops off. No flag goes out. That's something people talk about all the time. Getting into the head area usually does draw a flag.
Play clock down to 5. Not sure they're going to get it off. May have to spend a timeout here.
Been here 2.5 weeks. Talk about Jimmy Clausen. That's tough, isn't it, Tom?
Well, I think the Baltimore sideline was able to call for a timeout, yes. So a 3rd down for John Harbaugh's team when we come back.
Is it really December? Are those fans oscillating to keep guys cool in December in Baltimore?
Not just fans, they got the heated seats out too. I think they didn't know which way to go today.
Is that like the icy hot?
Yeah, both directions. Who's hot, who's cold?
Well, the hot team is Seattle. The cold team is Baltimore. You look at this injury-riddled, nail-biting sort of season for the Ravens. So many players hurt. And now trying to convert on a 3rd and 14 from the Seattle 41-yard line. Lawson steps up and got back to the line of scrimmage. Michael Bennett there to get him. Bennett now the leader in sacks along with Averill, each with 8.5.
Let's take a look at where Jimmy Clausen was eyeing to begin the play. This was the side. Too much coverage there. He would have had to fit it into Kamar Aikman. That would have been tough. Then at the top, Deshaun Shedd, who Tom has pointed out has played very well over the last couple of weeks. Total lockdown there.
Sam Cook into the end zone, and the Seahawks will get it for the first time when we return from the 20. Russell Wilson and company set to go to work. Russell Wilson in his fourth season, a third-round pick out of Wisconsin in 2012. 11 touchdown passes in his last 3 games, and that's a big gainer on the first down by the undrafted rookie out of Central Michigan, Thomas Rawls, who's been lights out replacing the injured Marshawn Lynch.
So you see Rawls here, but watch to this side of the line. Look at what they do. J.R. Sweezy right there with a great combo block, working upfield, and look at that gap. I mean, that is fantastic. Right side, that's Gary Gilliam, 79. Patrick Lewis working the combo with Sweezy. Terrific job by the offensive line.
Wilson to throw it. And the catch made by Jermaine Kearse, and that's another first down, a gain of 11. We check in with Mike Hill, the game break in Los Angeles.
All right, guys, Bengals can wrap up the AFC North with a win. Steelers with other ideas, fighting for a playoff spot, and D'Angelo Williams fighting to get into the end zone. 1-yard touchdown score, 7-0 Steelers in the first.
Some may remember the first time they played, Pittsburgh had an opening drive for a touchdown, did not find the end zone again in a 6-point loss to their division rivals. Thomas Rawls back into the game and crosses midfield down to the 47. Seahawks began the year 2-4, and a lot of it had to do with so many changes along their offensive line, but Pete Carroll and Tom Grable and everybody kept saying, just hang on, we're going to be fine. We've been down this road before. Their offensive coordinator,
Darrell Bevel, everyone remembers him from the Super Bowl last year, and he's moved on past it. And his team really believes in him. But you mentioned the offensive line. The solidifier, Patrick Lewis, number 65 at center, has really come along to get things settled down up front.
Second down and 5. Wilson fires a strike again to Kearse, who stepped in front of Sharice Wright in coverage. Another Seattle first down. The Ravens, by and large, all year have been solid on defense, and of course that's their reputation. Williams, an emerging star in the middle. You know about Doomerville in the secondary. Webb and Smith, the corners. Lewis and Hill, the hero against Cleveland, are the safeties under Dean Pease.
Yeah, after the blocked field goal attempt, Hill takes it 64 yards back for the winner.
First down throw. And Kearse, the main man so far, it's been Baldwin, who over the last 4 games has 24 catches, including 5 touchdowns the last 2 games. But so far early on, Kearse, the main man.
Kearse really shows up big at big times, doesn't he? We were talking about that in our production meeting, about when you're looking for, remember the big catch he made in San Francisco to help put them into a Super Bowl?
Well, the last 2 years he's had 4 touchdowns in the postseason.
Find it fitting Doug Baldwin, number 89 for Seattle, playing today. Steve Smith, normally with Baltimore. Baldwin plays a lot like him.
Rawls plows his way down to the 25. That'll move the chains. Well, doing it at the most important time. Russell Wilson, last 3 games, 77 completion percentage, 11 touchdowns in the last 3, most in the league. Quarterback rating, best in the league. The only quarterback to lead the NFL in all 3 categories over any 3-week span so far this year. Again, Rawls. What an incredible story Thomas Rawls has been. He went to training camp 4th on the depth chart, and now he's their primary ball carrier without Lynch.
And look at the help he's getting. Everything on their big runs to the right side. Look at everyone blocked up here. Tukuafu, 46. Lewis, 65. Sweezy, 64. Gilliam, 79. And that allows Rawls to get into the secondary before any contact is made. Everything to the right side early.
They play the drive. The veteran Fred Jackson checks into the backfield, takes a handoff, and he's to the 14-yard line. That'll be another first down. Jimmy Jernigan on the stop.
And when you're a play caller, when you're watching things work in a certain manner, you're filing things away, you're making notes, and you're trying to decide, do I stay with it until they stop it? Or because I've got it going that way, okay, I'll catch them over shifting, I'll come back the other way. Seattle's the type of team that likes to bludgeon you. I think they'll keep going to the right side until they see it stopped.
A lot of rumors about Darrell Bevel becoming the next head coach at Brigham Young University during the week. And I mean, you did everything that knocked him over to try to get the lowdown, and he said, nope, staying right here. Rawls tries to turn the corner. Still on his feet. Did the knee touch? Apparently not. He's down to the 5-yard line. About a yard short of a first down.
That offensive line for Seattle is just dominating that defensive line for Baltimore. Look how everybody's on somebody. Rawls he can go anywhere he needs to go. And you can't be tackling a guy like that way up top. See how they're going for the shoulder pads?
Yeah.
You got to go down and take his legs out to stop a guy like that with that much power.
And Tony, look at the balance Rawls showed at the end, able to get a hand down and keep himself up and get a couple extra yards right at the end of the play.
Rawls leads the NFL in yards per carry. Close to 6 yards per carry. Nowhere to go this time. He's stuffed on a second down and a yard. Brandon Williams starting to emerge as one of the NFL's most dominant defensive linemen.
Big time play by him, and they need him to play well all day long. He's right in the middle of the pack. You'll see all those helmets fire early, and he stuffed everything. He got inside of Justin Britt and stacked the play up.
And that is Rawls, who is the injured Seahawk. Back in a moment. Thomas Rawls just now getting up on his feet. See if we can look what may have happened.
You see him getting wrapped up. Brandon Williams, a terrific play, stacking it up. Then over the top, Chris Canty trying to tackle him. And see how he twists and lands on the legs, and they get bent underneath him. Thomas Rawls going in opposite directions. I'm excited just to see him up and walking.
Exactly. When them legs get caught up underneath, I mean, anything could happen.
Rawls has just been, I mean, too good to be true. Young man coming out of high school, grew up in Flint, Michigan, went to the University of Michigan where he was dismissed from the team. Transferred to Central, set out a year. He missed 4 games last season, still rushed for over 1,100 yards. And now up over 800 yards this year, despite this being just his 7th start. 10th play of the drive. An important play for Baltimore on a 3rd and 4. They'll love to try and force the field goal attempt. Wilson looking around, fires to the end zone. Touchdown, Tyler Lockett.
This is actually one of the easier throws Russell Wilson will make in his career. You know why? He had nothing but time. Watch, and you tell me where there's pressure. With that much time and that little pressure in his face, someone will pop free as a receiver. And Tyler Lockett is the guy.
Terrence Brooks was spying him over the middle, but at some point you got to go and bring some pressure and put it on him.
Stephen Hauschka has missed 3-point afters so far this year. This one right down the middle. And the rookie out of Kansas State with the game's first score, 7-0 Hawks. Fourth receiving touchdown of the year for the rookie Tyler Lockett. 80 yards, 11 plays. And Charles Davis, you may have had enough time to throw a touchdown pass.
I would have had enough time. I don't know if I would have gotten it there, but that time was impressive, and it was done twofold. Offensive line provided time. Russell Wilson and his movement bought himself a little extra time, and Tyler Lockett converted it on the other end.
5:08 to go in the opening quarter. Big crowd, beautiful day in Baltimore, Maryland. That one through the end zone. Ravens ball at the 20. Let's go back to the touchdown.
Well, you know what they say about Big Ben? They say it's not the first 3 plays of the 3 seconds of the play. It's the next 3 seconds is where he hurts you. Most NFL plays are done in 2.5 to 3 seconds. That was nearly 5. And when you have that amount of time, Tony Siragusa, someone's going to get open, aren't they?
Well, the great thing about Russell Wilson, what he does is, everyone talks about his mobility, but if you're watching that last play, he slides to his left, away from all of his offensive line, and he was able to go and look downfield with no interruptions in front of him. That's how he found his receiver in the end zone.
Buck Allen, a gain of 2. It was interesting that, Pete Carroll, the former head coach at USC, he was watching tape of Javorius Buck Allen, who grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, when he was in the 9th grade. In fact, so impressed was Carroll He was the first coach to offer Allen a college football scholarship in the 9th grade.
Tallahassee, Florida to Los Angeles, California. And sometimes being first pays off because that's exactly where he went to school.
Of course, Pete was already gone by the time Allen enrolled at SC. And the quick hitter to Jeremy Butler, who has enough, it looks like, for a first down up to the 31-yard line. It is.
Guys, Thomas Rawls will be out with a left ankle, out of the game. Wow.
So you go from Lynch to Rawls having a great year in limited playing time, and that is not an overused word in this case. He's having a great year. And you just signed DeJuan Harris off the practice squad. Last week was his first game.
And Fred Jackson, the veteran, is there, and he's battled a few injuries along the way this year. So that's what you've got to run the football, which means Russell Wilson's legs may come into play a little bit more today.
Lawson. Oh, that's a throw that has to be made. Gibbons was open. It was thrown high. And we throw it back to Mike Hill for a game break in Los Angeles.
Guys, Cam Newton may be the MVP of the league this year, looking good early. Finding Ted Ginn Jr. right here for the 74-yard strike. Ginn's 7 touchdown catch of the season. All Panthers that they try to remain perfect on the season. 14-0 in the first. Tom, Charles, back to you.
Well, I love what they talked about on Fox NFL Sunday as Rawls walks off for Seattle, his day over. About how incredible Newton has been, especially late in games, money time, as you say, winning time.
But what did Howie Long say? Clutch. Because you just talked about it. Fourth quarter, his passer rating is 130. Now, look, I'm not huge on figuring out passer rating. Let's just understand this, everyone. 130 is really, really, really good. And in the fourth quarter, that's when the game's on the line. In fact, against the Seattle Seahawks,
oh yeah,
he was huge in the fourth quarter and rallied his team to a big win.
And that was the story for Seattle early on. They had devastating losses late against the Bengals and the Panthers. Even week 1, the overtime loss to the St. Louis Rams.
Don't forget, they were up 24-14 with 9 minutes to go in the Super Bowl against New England.
Third down and 9. Clausen crossing pattern, complete, but well short of the first down is Butler. So the Ravens will punt. And now Cam Chancellor is walking into the locker room.
That Ravens offense has got to find a way to go and to get in the 3rd and short, manageable down. Right now, 3rd and 9 just isn't going to cut it. It's going to be a lot of 3 and outs if they have 3rd and 9 all day today.
Tyler Lockett, his very first NFL game, ran a punt back 57 yards for a touchdown against St. Louis. And he waits on the Sam Cook punt. They'll let it bounce. Beautifully done by Cook. That is one area that has gone exceptionally well for the Ravens in this otherwise tough year. Their special teams under Jerry Rossberg have been lights out. Well, Pete Carroll has to be a little bit concerned right now. He's already lost Thomas Rawls, at least that's the initial report Tony gave us from the Seahawks sideline. Rawls out for the day, and you just saw Cam Chancellor walking back into the locker room. A tailbone injury, we're being told, to Chancellor. His return is questionable. So first down from inside the 5. Fred Jackson in his first year with Seattle after 8 outstanding years in Buffalo. And Rawls was off to a potentially huge day today.
Everything was operating to the right side for Seattle. His offensive line really chopping big holes in the front of Baltimore. And then he gets hurt in a goal line play. 6 carries, 44 yards on the day. And now out the rest of the game with an ankle injury. You saw that tackle there by Chris Canty where he got bent underneath. I'm sure they're going to be ultra cautious for him, with him, as they head down the stretch here.
Empty backfield. Jackson split out to the far right of the screen, and Wilson looking down the sideline. And a penalty flag comes down. It was Lardarius Webb in coverage of Lockett.
And they're going to call offense on this, guys.
Yeah, extending his arms, right, Charles?
That's what I thought, Tony.
Yeah.
Pass interference, number 16, offense. A penalty decline, third down.
All right, Tony, I want to ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it in a minute.
There's Tyler Lockett. He's in the slot. Watch him work against Ladarius Webb. And this is what Tony saw. See that right hand on the inside, pushing off on Ladarius Webb's shoulder pads. That's what the official caught. And that's why the flag came out.
Tony, quick question. When the best running back on the other team goes down, is it a little bit of a lift to the defense?
It's a little bit, but it's dangerous because you're not preparing for this other person that's in there. You know what the starter is going to do. You know what his tendencies are. All of a sudden, you get a new guy in there. It could be more dangerous than you think.
Third down. And batted down by Hill.
Brooks almost picked that one off, guys.
And Terrence Brooks, I beg your pardon, coming into the game.
And Tony, you noticed this earlier. We talked earlier. Watch Terrence Brooks, 31. I think he's the spy on Russell Wilson.
Yep.
See him stand right there? He's just mirroring Russell Wilson and followed his eyes to the football and batted that one away, intended for Fred Jackson.
Really surprised that this offense hasn't challenged this Ravens secondary downfield yet in this game.
So now out of his own end zone, the 10-year veteran John Ryan. Jalen Clay, the rookie, at midfield. To the 45, to the 40, penalty flag down, met by Mike Morgan there. But again, we wait on the penalty, virtually a penalty, it seems like, on every special teams play.
Walt Coleman and crew are a little overdressed today, aren't they? They got the full winter gear on.
They're sweating down here. I know I am.
They got fooled on the report.
There's no foul for an illegal block in the back. First down.
Tom, you mentioned it earlier, Cam Chancellor, number 31, tailbone. He is questionable for return. Confirmed.
Good field position for the Ravens, trailing 7-0 in the opening quarter.
For Chancellor.
7-0 Seahawks, 1:10 to play in the opening quarter. Baltimore starts this drive at the Seattle 42-yard line, and Jimmy Clausen, as we mentioned earlier, a starter with Chicago back in week 3. 10 drives, 10 punts, then 2 drives, 2 punts so far today.
But with this field position, it's go time for the Baltimore offense. They have to find a way to take advantage of this. Their defense helped them out, helped create this field position. They have to help them now.
Yeah, they got to take a shot downfield.
Kelsey McCray takes over for Chancellor. They take that shot downfield. And that's Jeremy Butler, who's run out of bounds at the 19-yard line. Butler already his 3rd reception.
They have these big body receivers here in Baltimore now. With all the injuries they've had, not exactly burners, but guys, if you're not covering them, they can get downfield and make a play. And Jimmy Clausen had time, finds his receiver, and puts it on him. And they took advantage of the field position on first down. They did what you said, Tony. They took a shot.
You know, you look at the overall defensive numbers for Seattle, and they look great. They are a great defense. But having said that, when they have played the top-tier quarterbacks this season around the league, they have been shredded. More on that in a moment. Let's check in back in Los Angeles.
Well, the team from down the road in Washington looking good on the road in Chicago. Kirk Cousins, a 3-yard run, capped up a 93-yard drive in Washington. Up 14-0 on the Bears, looking for their first road win of the year and trying to stay atop the NFC East. Tom, Charles, Goose?
Is that Washington on the road up 14-0 that Kirk just said? Did Kirk said to be their first road win of the year?
I think it's any NFC team in
NFC
the East that has a lead.
What?
They need that one desperately.
Well, they'll let the clock run out on the opening quarter. Seven 0 Seattle. Fox NFL Sunday continues after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Well, you look at the numbers in the opening quarter. Just 1 rushing yard for Baltimore, 46 for Seattle, but 44 of those on the legs of Thomas Rawls, who's now out for the game with an injury. We begin the second quarter, 2nd and 11. Allen inside the 10. very close to a first down.
Jimmy Clausen starting to get a little confidence in there, able to set his feet and throw the ball. He was with Mark Trestman last year in Chicago when Mark Trestman was the head coach. So you think this is an easy transition, right? Well, Mark Trestman didn't bring his system here to Baltimore. He kept the system of Gary Kubiak, learned the language so that Joe Flacco wouldn't have to make a transition. So here comes Jimmy Clausen going, hey, great, I know this play. Oh, that's not the playbook we had in Chicago. So in 2.5 weeks, he's having to learn an entirely different offense himself.
Cleared down at a yard and bottled up at the line of scrimmage by Averill is Terrence West. Well, I was starting to say this is probably 4 down territory, knowing John Harbaugh. He has gone for it on 4th down and a yard 8 times this season, 18 times going back to the start of last year. But he will take the field goal try this time. Are you surprised with a 4 and 18?
A little bit, but I think he wants to give Clausen some confidence that, hey, you led a drive that resulted in points. And I think that's why he's running Justin Tucker out there.
Third most accurate field goal kicker in NFL history is Justin Tucker. And that percentage just got fractionally better. So Baltimore, a 7-3 deficit. Well, Cam Chancellor back out of the Seattle locker room on the exercise bike over on the sideline. We'll see if he'll return when the Seahawks go back on defense. Right now, Lockett awaiting the kick. 7-3 Seahawks lead a minute and a half into the second quarter.
Justin Tucker doesn't give you many opportunities to return balls, though, does he?
He likes starting on that 20.
He's a most unique and outspoken voice in
I'm Colin
sports.
Coward, and I've been watching the Seahawks try to turn their season around after a brutal start. Can Russell Wilson continue to elevate his game and get the Hawks into the playoffs? That and everything else you need to know from the NFL weekend. That's The Herd at noon Eastern tomorrow on FS1.
Tune in for that.
And we talked about it on the pregame show earlier today. Talked about it with Colin, where he talked about Russell Wilson's record in December. The best record in December since 1950 for any quarterback. Russell Wilson possesses it in terms of wins and losses.
And if you didn't hear the numbers, he's 13-2. So DeJuan Harris into the backfield. Hurst up to the 27-yard line. Now Harris played in his first game as a Seahawk after being elevated from their practice squad. He played in 15 games for Green Bay last year after missing all of 2013. Those are his career numbers, including 4 games as a rookie with Jacksonville.
Look at him behind Will Tukuafu. Look at how big Tukuafu is, the fullback, compared to Harris, the tailback.
Looks like a lineman in the backfield there, right?
It's like me standing next to Siragusa. It's up to the 32-yard line.
Just like it, Tom.
Tony, you have you walk around this place and it's like the mayor.
Nah.
Oh, come on now, you're being humble. But you have a lot of fans here.
No, he was saying governor.
Yeah, the governor. There's a lot of good people. A lot of people still here. Steve Bisciotti's done a great job of keeping a lot of the people from when I played. We won the Super Bowl here, and just great to see the faces. Got right into broadcasting with Fox right afterwards, so I haven't seen a lot of these people in a long time.
Harris upended. Let's go back to that magical Super Bowl year. Super Bowl 35, crushing the Giants. You played 5 years right here, Tony. That was some kind of defense. Many feel there you are, celebrating the win.
Yeah.
Is that Miss Samantha?
It is.
In college now.
How about
Amazing.
that?
Couldn't we Photoshop a little bit of that belly on that first shot, guys? It's ridiculous. Who's in charge of that?
Hey, man, the belly made you great. What are you talking about?
That's my balance.
Gain of a yard on first down. Harris still in the backfield. They pitch it to him. And closing ground quickly, but unable to make the tackle was Mosley. And so it ends up turning into positive yardage for DeJuan Harris.
And that was a big miss by Mosley in the backfield, because as a defense, having the advantage is so key against a team like Seattle. Being able to get them behind the chains, as we talk about in football lingo. Instead, he gets enough yardage that it is a 3rd and manageable play for Russell Wilson. And without the big runner there with Rawls, I wonder if Russell Wilson's legs will come into play a little bit more as we go along.
Got to be alert for the hard count in this situation. Russell Wilson's very good at that.
3rd down and 5. Good protection. What a throw and what a catch by Lockett, who took a wicked hit, which draws a penalty flag. And now another one comes in.
Guys, that's 2 weeks in a row Lockett has made a similar catch. Last week against Minnesota, almost exactly the same. Caught it in between the corner and the safety, took the big shot, and held on to the football.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 21, defense. A 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. First down.
And this is Ladarius Webb, who's playing some safety today as well as corner. The catch by Lockett over Arrington, and there's the hit. Now, it looked to me like he's trying to go chest to chest with him. I got to admit, guys, I'm not crazy about that being an unnecessary roughness call.
Don't bring up referees or officiating to this Baltimore Ravens franchise. A blown call directly cost him a game in Jacksonville. Last week, they called their wide receiver on a touchdown pass, Daniel Brown, for interference, offensive interference, when replays clearly showed the Miami defender slipped and fell down. And there have been so many other calls this year that have not gone the Ravens' way. Let's check in back in Los Angeles. Mike Pereira, did you think that should have been a penalty on the Baltimore defender?
No, I didn't. I mean, I get it because it's a big hit and it's kind of a bang-bang play, but to me, there's no helmet. It's really forearm to the shoulder. Looks bad on the field, but I really don't think it's a foul.
Yeah, well, Mike, we're all speaking the same language on that one. You know better than anyone because you're the authority, but I thought initially, seeing it the first time, it was not a call that should have been penalized. A play, excuse me.
Harris inside the 20. Of course, Elvis Dumerville had comments about poor officiating during the week this week. Dean Pease, I mean, didn't mince any words.
John Harbaugh, the head coach, hasn't been crazy about it either, but his number one direction and focus, keep playing, guys. You got to play through these things, and that's what his team has done all year long. They may be talking about it, but it's never stopped them from continuing to try and play through.
They play the drive, 3rd down and 7. Reception made, good enough for a first down to Baldwin, who's been the hottest receiver in the league over the last month. And that's Baldwin's first catch of the day, a gain of 14.
Sometimes it's not a hard count. Sometimes it's body language. Watch Russell Wilson. He kind of gave him a little extra deal there right before the ball was snapped. We didn't quite catch it there, but we'll try and pick it up along the way.
Look at those last 4 games. 433 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 24 catches overall. So now 1st and goal. Fake it to Harris. Wilson, and wide open in the end zone, and Wilson incomplete, thrown a little high, but a catch has got to be made.
Yeah, we talk about high and this and that, but watch Luke Wilson, 82. He's going to go back against Flo and could not be more open on the play, and he fought it at the end. He didn't catch the ball, he fought it. See, he goes up, and now,
Sometimes they're the toughest ones to catch, Charles, the ones that are wide open.
The easiest plays, you think about them just a little bit too much, don't you?
They're all pro tight end. Jimmy Graham out for the year with a knee injury.
Ball's out.
Ball is out. And a scramble for it. Did the Ravens get it? They did! Dumerville at the bottom of the pile. And DeJuan Harris, who replaces the injured Thomas Rawls, who's replacing the injured Marshawn Lynch, coughs it up inside the 5.
There's a tale of two guys there that contributed to Seattle not having the football. Luke Wilson on your left, the tight end, dropped an easy touchdown pass. And on the next play, Dwan Harris has the football. And as we saw, and we're going to show it to you, the fumble wasn't caused by Baltimore necessarily, but that's their first red zone takeaway in a long, long time.
It was a 10-play, 75-yard drive, and you come away with no points. Buck Allen spins his way across the 10 up to the 11-yard line.
So Mark Sanchez, if you're watching, turn away from the screen because J.R. Sweezy, 64, watch, right there. The ball pops free from Dwan Harris because he hits J.R. Sweezy's backside. And there's Elvis Zoomerville coming up with it. But the play previous couldn't have been much easier than that for Luke Wilson. Doesn't get it. And it turns into what should have been 7 or 6, a short touchdown. Turns into no points.
And again, no coach is going to use injuries as an excuse. But you're talking about a fill-in for Jimmy Graham and a fill-in for Walls. Penalty flag down.
And Lynch.
And Lynch, right. Lamar Aiken on the reception. And now Walt Coleman.
Illegal block in the back, number 66, offense. Half the distance to the goal. Still second down.
Let's check in back in Los Angeles with Kurt Menefee.
And we check in Philadelphia where the Bills and Eagles were tied at 7. That's until Sam Bradford hooked up with the rookie Nelson Aguilar for a 53-yard score, giving the Eagles the lead by a touchdown early on in the second quarter. Tom, Charles, and Deuce.
Well, the biggest story in the NFL right now is the injury to Andy Dalton. The Bengals, the leaders for home field advantage in the AFC. Dalton on the opening possession took the Bengals down the field. There's a screen to Allen, and he is dropped to the 5-yard line. That'll be a loss of a yard. But apparently on the play, Dalton injured and now is out of the game for Cincinnati with a cast on his hand. Charles, how quickly hopes can change.
Yeah, horrible news for Cincinnati because he's having a season that actually puts him in MVP conversation. And he does drive them. They can talk about the playoffs all they want. They need Andy Dalton.
Way down 11. Aiken. Enough for a first down.
Mark Trestman told us in a production meeting that we've got to find open areas. We find the clear zones and we have to deliver. Can it be any more open than that? Kamar Aikman finds a spot. Jeremy Lane, number 20, has inside coverage. No help from the outside. Aiken finds that spot and then turns it upfield and uses the big, strong body of his at 215 pounds to pick up the first down. Mark Trestman says, find the open zones and get the ball there quickly. That's a paramount today.
It's on a 3rd and 11. He gains 17. They come right back in the air up to the 32-yard line, about a yard short of another first down. You know, I started to bring up earlier, against the league's better quarterbacks that they have faced this year, it has not been the Legion of Boom. At times, it's been the Legion of Doom. Whether you're talking about Andy Dalton or Aaron Rodgers or Carson Palmer or Cam Newton or 2 weeks ago against Ben Roethlisberger when the Seahawks allowed a franchise record 480 passing yards before Roethlisberger was injured in the fourth quarter of that game. Teams have thrown the ball well. The better quarterbacks have thrown the ball well against Seattle. And Clausen's throwing it well right now. That's a first down to the 47-yard line.
So Jeremy Butler crosses from their left to the right, and he's got people on the same plane, just at different depths. Because underneath he had 83 Daniel Brown. He goes to the second option, which is Jeremy Butler 17, and delivers. Jimmy Clausen's confidence is growing with every completion.
I'm really surprised with this Seattle defense really not bringing the pressure on Clausen at all.
That'll be a gain of 4. Solid first down carry by Buck Allen. Ataba Rubin, the former Cleveland Brown, on the tackle, and 7 straight completions, a career best for Jimmy Clausen.
Guys, as this game is unfolding, Seattle has given up an average of 49 yards on the ground over the last 3 games. So I'm not sure that you're going to make your bones running it, but you run it enough to keep their attention. Jimmy Clausen's got to continue to make plays today because that's the way they're going to have to move the football.
Under heavy pressure, Clausen level, throws up the jump ball, and excellent coverage by Deshaun Shell.
That's exactly what I'm talking about right here, guys. You know, you got a young guy who's been in, this town for 2.5 weeks, right? You can't just let him sit in the pocket and be comfortable. You got to bring the pressure. They bring 2 linebackers right up the middle, put it in his face, and look at his ball. That's an opportunity. He launched it straight up in the air with those defensive backs that this Seattle defense has. That's an opportunity for a turnover right there. They need to bring more pressure and get Jimmy Clausen out of his comfort zone.
8th play of the drive, a 3rd down and 6. Closing in on 4 minutes to go until halftime. Here they come again. Batted into the air, defended by Jeremy Lane. Ravens looking for a flag that doesn't come.
Seattle's so excited to have Jeremy Lane back. You remember the Super Bowl when he intercepted a pass, ended up dislocating his wrist and tearing up his knee on the same play. And look at him with the coverage there on Aiken. Gets the ball, gets a hand in front, and knocks it away. Excited. They just got him back recently against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, with the return of Lane and the emergence of Shed, they released a longtime veteran, Kerry Williams, a former Raven who had started the first 2 games of the year. Beautiful Inner Harbor, historic Fort McHenry, and the Sultan of SWAT used to roam the streets of Baltimore. 3:58 to play until halftime. Key injuries today to the 2-time defending NFC champion Seahawks. It's DeJuan Harris who's in there for Rawls. It's been a crazy year for a team as successful as the Seahawks. Of course, 1 yard away from the Super Bowl title. Interception by Malcolm Butler. Then in March they traded Max Unger to New Orleans for Jimmy Graham. They have the 54-day holdout by Cam Chancellor. Began the year 2-4 with those gut-wrenching losses, especially to the Bengals and the Panthers. But now 5-1. And honestly, 5-1 with the exception of last week against far inferior competition. But nonetheless, they don't make up the schedule. You just got to play and beat who you play.
Because as a general rule, the NFC West is going to challenge you. Because you're usually getting 2 from San Francisco. This year, the 2 from San Francisco were get-right games. Yeah. And then they took well advantage of that. But Arizona is probably going to win the division. Seattle trying to they want to be the wild card team that no one wants to deal with.
Well, if they can win today, they would leapfrog Minnesota for the number 5 spot in the playoff picture. But first things first, this is an important 3rd down for this Ravens defense, trying to get it back before halftime. And here they come. Quick throw, and again it is Baldwin making a big catch to move the chains to the 29-yard line.
In talking with Russell Wilson, I asked him, where has your game really jumped? Not necessarily in the last few weeks, but in time, over time. And noted the word he used, anticipation. And he said, he looked at me and he said, as soon as he saw my face, and they're going to go a little quick here, so I'll come back to it after this play if possible. They get into the 2-minute warning. He was talking about anticipation. Not necessarily in terms of throwing the ball, but anticipating situations, down and distance, play calls coming in, and of course throwing it and delivering it well.
Well, we invite you to get apps, videos, and so much more at iTunes.com/NFL. We're the 2-minute warning. I think everybody liked the game we had last week in New England. Figured that, last week the Eagles, this week the Ravens would roll over. If anybody's watched the Ravens play all year long, that is not this team's MO. And hang it in there. Trailing 7-3. Wilson too high to a wide open Jermaine Curtis.
Good Ravens, if they're able to shut it down here, they can get the ball back with a little bit of time. Decent field position. The hard part is You're trying to run a hurry-up offense at that point with a quarterback who's been in camp for 2.5 weeks. But as you pointed out, this team plays you so hard. But 12 games, all of them decided by 8 points or less, the Ravens have played this year. That's phenomenal for a team that's 4-8.
Second down and 10. This time on target to Curse. That is the first down, and we'll check in quickly back in Los Angeles.
Bengals trying to wrap up the division, but suffer a big blow. Andy Dalton out with a right thumb injury and a cast, so A.J. McCarron steps up, finds A.J. Green, 66-yard score. McCarron's first career touchdown pass, still the Steelers leader, 13-7 in the second. Back to you.
Wilson able to dump it off and nearly intercepted, trying to lay it off to Jackson, who took a big shot from Mosley. And that ball hung in the air for a little bit of time.
Yeah, this is one where Russell Wilson, I think, almost set up Fred Jackson. Does that make sense? Put him in a tough spot because of the way they were closing, and it put it behind him a little tough to handle, and Fred almost popped it in the air where the Ravens could have picked that off.
Second down and 10 from their own 38-yard line. That's a drop by Baldwin at the 44.
You know, these two teams came into today with the fewest drops in the NFL. Baltimore and Seattle both tied with 7. And today, Seattle has added to that total. Luke Wilson in the end zone, Doug Baldwin on that one. I'm not going to give Fred Jackson a drop on the previous play. I thought that ball was behind him. But that one was well thrown and should have been caught, and usually is, by Doug Baldwin.
Seattle 4 of 5 so far today, converting on third down. Jackson short of the first down at the 47-yard line, 1 yard short. Mosley able to wrap him up. Ravens with 2 timeouts remaining, not going to spend one, and now they will. Stopping the clock with 1:13 to play until halftime. All right, let's check in quickly back with Kurt Menefee. What's coming up at halftime?
Coming up on the Visa halftime, do the Kansas City Chiefs get their 7th straight win? Will LaShawn McCoy be homecoming king in Philly? And can the Bengals take the throne as the kings of the North? Plenty of questions out there. We'll try and answer them for you coming up on the Visa halftime.
Russell Wilson over on the sideline after this drive stalls. Jimmy Clausen will get it back, and we'll have 1 timeout remaining. That one nearly blocked. What a catch back there by Clay, still on his feet, up to the 22-yard line. Talk about how good their special teams have been this season, the Ravens. Nearly came up with another one. They had a stretch of 5 games in a row where they blocked a kick. Nearly a big one there. Exactly 1 minute to go until halftime. Richard Sherman Seahawks in front 7-3. Baltimore with the football, the first down from its own 23-yard line.
Let's see if the youngster Frank Clark can start putting some pressure on the passer. He's been doing that very well in recent weeks. 3 sacks in his last 2 games.
Yeah, 2 of them last week in that route of Minnesota. And Clausen able to step out of a would-be sack. Michael Bennett, the one to try to trip him up.
Yeah, it wasn't Frank Clark on that one, but as you noted, look here, Bennett, who likes to move inside in passing situations. Tony, those defensive ends who go inside over the guards, they can really get there, can't they?
Yeah, they can, man. Very athletic guys up on the inside on the guards who are athletic also, but a lot of quickness, but still only rushing 4 guys. I thought that they would bring 5 on that one, but they dropped 1 right and out.
Yeah, when Bennett and Averill play near each other, they've run a lot of games together, and they are together now.
False start, number 2, offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
So the penalty against the Ravens will back it up to the 18-yard line. Surprising numbers, not for Wilson, but certainly for Clausen. They're just going to go ahead and run out the clock.
Ball was out, guys.
Yes, it is, and Bobby Wagner has the football. What an unbelievably bad time for the Ravens, who are content to run out the clock. And Allen lost the football, and the Seahawks now a chance to add to their lead with less than a minute to go.
Quarterback exchange with the running back. He's got it clean, but he never really tucks it away firm. You're running into traffic, and he's got one arm holding the football. It looks like Frank Clark, 55, gets involved, but it looked like the ball was already moving towards him.
Right.
I don't think Clark popped it free, but he knocked it further out of the pile after the ball had already started to work its way out.
Yeah, there was no contact with the ball carrier to knock the football loose.
And then Clark knocks it out there, and then Bobby Wagner alertly picks it up. And now you take your shot right now if you're Seattle. Let's see if Russell Wilson tries to throw a dagger from the pocket to a receiver in the end zone.
John Harbaugh cannot believe it. Now Wilson looking for Fred Jackson, incomplete. Good coverage by Mosley inside the 10. Second down. 43 ticks remain.
Yeah, I really thought that was going to be a play where Seattle would say, all right, someone get in the end zone for me, and Russell Wilson throw it there. Instead, they throw a route into the flat to Fred Jackson, who they picked up in the preseason from Buffalo. He's had some ankle injuries, and to me, he just doesn't look as sharp. You know, he doesn't look as confident, as definite in his movements right now.
Second down and 10. And it is a touchdown to Doug Baldwin. The Seahawks capitalize on the fumble by Buck Allen and score with 38 seconds left.
There's a flag down.
Penalties decline. Result of the play, touchdown.
And the penalty against Baltimore.
Yeah, it was defensive holding against Baltimore. They'll wave it off. So watch Baldwin in here working his way across field. Remember the one he dropped not too long ago? A similar route. This one, Russell Wilson puts it right on him, and Baldwin tucks it away and gets in. There's been no better receiver over the last 4 games prior to today in the NFL than Doug Baldwin.
It always seems to come back to the old adage about you just never know. Here the Ravens look like they were going to try and get down the field with a little more than a minute to go on this drive, but then a penalty backed them up. So they said, all right, let's just take a 7-3 ball game into the locker room. And so to run out the clock, they turned, gave the ball to Allen, who gave it to the Seahawks.
And it starts with Javorius Allen not tucking it away in traffic. He's got the ball. It's a clean exchange from his quarterback, and he doesn't get 2 hands on it amidst the traffic. The end result, Russell Wilson puts it on Doug Baldwin. Now, Tony, as you watch Russell Wilson, you made an observation earlier in the game about him moving around in and outside of the pocket for better sight lines.
Right.
But over the last 4 or 5 games, what I've noticed on tape with him is that, yes, he does that, but he's playing and winning from the pocket now more than he has in his career.
He really is. I mean, he does whatever he needs to do to win.
And winning Wilson has done. In fact, more so than any quarterback in NFL history over his first 60 starts. A staggering 43-17 career record for the native of Richmond, Virginia.
They built a team around him to complement his talents, haven't they? Run the ball well, sure-handed receivers, and a heck of a defense.
What if he died and then were brought back to life? This January, one man will find out. From the executive producer of The X-Files in 24 comes a new drama, Second Chance. The series premiere Wednesday, January the 13th, only on Fox. A couple of big hit shows on Fox 24 in The X-Files.
Can you get a third chance? Because I'm looking for as many as I can possibly.
Amen to that,
Is there a chance I can get a couple extra in there?
Down the sideline, and look at Kamar Aiken go up and get it in the 42. Lawson trying to hurry him up. So no sticking it in your pocket this time for the Ravens on offense.
I like the fact that they tried to make a play. 4 and 18, didn't just go ahead and play turtle at the end.
They're going down there again, and again it is Aiken. And that is a first down to the 22-yard line.
And Deshaun Shedd, number 35, has been victimized on the last two. Right here. Looks like he's got a little hitch in his giddy-up to me. I think that he might have a little limp going right now. And if I'm Baltimore and Mark Trestman, I'm calling a play in his direction yet again. I'm going to make him make a play now. He's gotten hit twice on big plays. I'd go at him again. I'm going to test his confidence level and if he's able to run.
37
Reason to stop it if it's working.
21 more on the second one. Let's see where they go. Good protection. Clausen lost it to the end zone. Incomplete. 6 seconds remain. They may just kick the field goal.
Look at him go up and get the football. One of the things that when we talked this week with Matt Schaub, who was supposed to be the starting quarterback, he said, Kamar Aiken attacks the football as a receiver, and you appreciate that as a quarterback. And on this one, he saw the play the whole way. Deshaun Shedd never got his eyes back around to the quarterback, and he made 2 excellent catches.
Well, with 6 seconds remaining, John Harbaugh's rolling the dice here a little bit. He does have a timeout left. Well, they're just going to put it into a better position. Timeout is called with 3 seconds remaining.
Yeah, they just want a better spot for Justin Tucker, and we got a little pushing and shoving going on out there.
And a penalty flag is down. We'll wait on Walt Coleman to get some help from his crew to separate everybody.
So much for that holiday cheer right now. This is playoff.
After the play is
pressure.
over, personal foul, number 56, defense, half the distance to the goal, first down.
Well, that, it appears, is not going to change the mind, even with a ball after 12, nor should it, of John Harbaugh. I'm still surprised they did not go for it on 4th down and yard the last time they were down there. They took the field goal, and now a 30-yard attempt from Tucker, who hit his first try from 28 when they elected not to go on that 4th down. So how about that? We get 10 points in the final 40 seconds of this opening half. And at least for momentum's sake, after a deflating fumble, which led to a Seattle touchdown, a couple of big pass plays, and you get 3 more on the board to make it 14-6.
And this is exactly what we've seen out of Baltimore all year. Errors occur, but they don't deflate them to the extent that they don't come back and attack, that they don't come back and play. That play there, Javorius Allen, he's going to hear from his offensive coaches and running backs coach, 2 hands, that situation, why didn't you not? But how about them? They could have just gone ahead and taken a knee and run up. No, we attack, we go play. And 8-point game, all 12 games this year, decided by 8 points or less.
You got it. And the Seahawks get the ball to begin the second half. Let's kick it. Today's excitement brought to you by Nissan. Early on, bad news for the Seahawks. They lost their standout running back Thomas Rawls to an injury. They capped off that opening drive, however, with a touchdown. The fumble down inside the 5-yard line by DeJuan Harris. Had the fumble late in the first half by Buck Allen, which led to a Seattle touchdown, then a couple of long completions to Aiken. Led Baltimore to a field goal to make it a 14-6 game. Seattle to get it back to begin the second half. And once more, Seattle will get the ball at the 20-yard line. All right, Charles, I guess a couple of ways to look at this. Let's start from the Baltimore perspective. Nobody's giving you a chance. But as you pointed out before this game started, so too did Tony. The Ravens, in a very difficult year, especially from an injury standpoint, have continued to battle teams no matter who they play.
And that's when you find out how a team feels about their head coach, about their leadership, about their organization. They've done that all the way through. You look at their roster from week 1 to where they are now. Guys are introducing themselves to each other in the locker room. So this is a tough deal, but they continue to battle. It will not be easy for Seattle.
Well, they fake it one way, and then they dump it off the other way to Cooper Helfet, the backup tight end, to Wilson. And that's a first down up to the 37-yard line. Let's check in downstairs with Goose.
Thanks, guys. Had a chance to talk with both coaches. Pete Carroll, first thing I asked him was about the pressure. Why not bring more pressure on a guy like Clausen? He's only been here 2.5 weeks, and he says, we really wanted to feel him out in the first half. In the second half, we need to bring more pressure. Also, John Harbaugh, I said, Coach, what'd you talk to your team about in the second half? He says, listen, this Seattle team is too good to go and give them free plays and turn the ball over. That's one thing we can't do. And we need to take more shots downfield. I feel real comfortable about the way we're playing the run, but we got to go and make some more big plays on offense.
All righty, we'll keep an eye on all that and then some as we're a minute into this second half. Pete Carroll's team looking for a 4th straight win. A win today would move the Seahawks to the number 5 spot in the NFC playoff picture. And of course, whoever the number 5 seed is in the NFC, they would play, unless the wheels just fall off all around them, a number of other teams. They would play the NFC East champion on the road the first game of the postseason. Harris hammered down in the 42-yard line by Courtney Upshaw.
And that's been his MO since he entered the league, Courtney Upshaw. Terrific against the run. I think many people thought they were going to get an elite pass rusher as well, and that's not been his thing. But you talk about setting an edge, you talk about hammering people in the run game, Courtney Upshaw is your guy. He's working hard to get home on the pass rush, but against the run, that's his forte.
So an early third down on this opening drive of the second half. A 3rd and 5 for Wilson, an empty backfield. He has been under no pressure this entire game, and that is certainly the play of choice. When they face a third down, it's just that simple little out pattern to Baldwin and another first down.
And if this were basketball, it's a nice little pick. Watch Curse. He does an excellent job of just setting up and not showing arms, not putting a body on someone, but he's put himself in a position where he impedes the progress of a defender trying to get to his guy. Well executed by Jermaine Curse, and another nice pass from Russell Wilson for a first down.
Goes to the football right at the 50-yard line. They fake it one way to Jackson, and Wilson for the first time under some heat, but gets away. Dumps it off, and Wilson the catch, still on his feet. Spun down to the 42-yard line, about a gain of 8.
I think Luke Wilson wanted to atone for that drop pass, didn't he? And look at Russell Wilson's elusiveness coming into play to extend a play, keep a play alive, and turn it into a nice gain downfield. Look at that. There you go, Luke. You may have dropped one before, but you're back, baby. This guy's giving a little dap as he gets to the sidelines.
Wilson will be very important in this Seattle offense as they move forward to the final month of this season, and they hope the postseason. Without Jimmy Graham. Well, they brought in Graham to fix an offense, at least in part, that had a terrible time inside the red zone last year. And it's ironic, ever since Graham got hurt, they have been better in the red zone than they have been in 3 years.
And I do believe that something you said earlier does resonate a little bit. Schedule changed a little bit along the way.
Sure.
Helped them out some, but Luke Wilson played big for them last year down the stretch. So he's continuing to develop. Cooper Helfet was a Johns Hopkins lacrosse player when he began college before he transferred to Duke to play football. So he's back in the motherland, so to speak.
A good athlete, be able to pull that off. They pitch it to Harris. And somehow found a little seam and got to the 35, a gain of 3. 2nd down and 7 coming up.
Tony, have you noticed the guys who had a couple of big errors in the first half, Luke Wilson and DeJuan Harris, have come back and they're playing with a little bit of a vengeance here?
You know, when you have a team like these guys have, you want to go and prove to them that you're worthy, and you don't want to let them down. And that's why both of these teams, have such, good offenses and defenses over the years, because they want to prove to each other those things. And you come out, you make a mistake, you want to come out and prove yourself. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now.
Very close to a first down. Again, as DeJuan Harris needed to get to, well, just inside the 29 and appears to have enough. It is a first down.
And you notice these running backs, the way that they carry the football. Look at Richard Sherman encouraging his team. I don't know, Tony, when you were playing, was your defense up watching your offense as much as we see here with Seattle?
Yeah, a lot of guys were. It was funny. When we were here, our defense was pretty much led the team. And, when we were on the sideline and encouraging the offense, they gave them a little bit of, a little bit of extra when they knew that we were watching them. You don't see it very often anymore, but you do see it right now.
Harris wrapped up by Darryl Smith, still able to pick up a couple of yards, and the penalty flag comes in late.
That's a good play on the backside by Darryl Smith going to the football. Richard Sherman's into the game.
After the play was over, personal foul, number 97, defense. At the distance of the goal, first down.
That's Timmy Jernigan, the second-year defensive end out of Florida State. That is a big one right there. Takes you inside the 15-yard line.
Almost, I don't even have to see the play. My natural assumption is what? Second guy got caught. There's an altercation, right? He fired back and got nailed.
That's exactly what Jim Harbaugh talked about at halftime. We can't go and give them free plays and free yardage. Got to make them earn everything.
So from the 13, the first down, fake to Harris. Being chased is Wilson, and he just lofts it towards the end zone. And incomplete.
How did he get that ball off, guys?
Not only got it off, Tony, not only got it off, but he was not throwing it just to throw it. He threw his receiver open, as we like to use the term. In other words, Baldwin's going to come all the way across here, and watch Russell Wilson as he retreats. He takes him to the spot where either Baldwin gets it or no one gets it. And he was hoping for a big-time catch. And look at the play by Ladarius Webb, getting enough body on him to knock him over the sideline and turn it into an incompletion. Yeah, that was not a hope throw. That was a throw that he made with some thought.
Now Wilson rolling around, and again, these last two plays has felt the pressure. Penalty flag down again.
Man, Fred Jackson was wide open in the middle of the field, out of the backfield. I'm really surprised Russell Wilson didn't see him. He had his hand up and everything.
I think the pressure to cause that, Tony.
Yep.
Pressure from Baltimore allowed him to, forced him to not see that.
Pass interference, number 84, offense, 10-yard penalty, still second down.
That's Helford, the backup tight end.
Wonder if they were trying to run another one of those pick plays. Let's take a look. Here's Helford, 84. Yeah, he's out there blocking on a pass play. I mean, that's not even close, is it?
Not even close. You got to sell that a little better.
I mean, just go stand in front of him with your big body and then use your feet to kind of stay in front. And keep the arms inside.
Well, after the penalty, back out to the 22-yard line on a second down and 20. All day to throw. And it is a touchdown to Doug Baldwin. 7 touchdowns now for Baldwin in his last 2.5 games. He had 3 touchdowns in the first 9 games of the year.
And this is tough on any secondary because watch what gets formed here. A nice protective area for Russell Wilson. No pressure. Look at that. So he's going to be able to have a clean sight line, step up, and allow Doug Baldwin plenty of time to get through the trash on the route. He bumps off of one guy, passes through behind Darryl Smith, and Russell Wilson has enough time to let him clear before he delivers the football. That's almost thrown out of the rocking chair.
Seahawks a touchdown drive, their first drive of the game, a touchdown drive, the first possession of this second half. 14-6 becomes 21-6 on the touchdown. Wilson to Baldwin. Well, the hottest quarterback and the hottest wide receiver in the NFL over the last month coming into this Sunday in December, that duo, Wilson and Baldwin. And no signs of slowing down.
Their connection is special right now, and it's really clicking together well. And another undrafted player performing big for Seattle is Doug Baldwin.
Well, coming into the game, he had 8 touchdown receptions, already a career high. So with every one, that's a new number for Baldwin. He has 10.
John Harbaugh, the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, says that running the ball is part of our DNA here in Baltimore. Well, 4 rush yards in the first half today, and they needed to run the ball better than that, obviously, because they need to help out a young quarterback named Jimmy Clausen, making his first start in Baltimore, only being here 2.5 weeks. But it's hard to do when you've had so much shuffle in the offensive line, different guys playing different positions. Many of them they've never played before.
False start, number 87, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That's a rookie tight end, Max Williams. You know, when this season began, it was the first time in Baltimore franchise history, Charles, that they brought back the entire offensive line from the prior year. And remember now, last year was a record-setting offense here in Baltimore. They felt good about that line.
And that line has been whittled away. John Urschel is playing center now. He started the season at guard. Kelechi Osemele's playing left tackle. He was a guard to begin the season. You know, so they just struggled all the way along trying to fit a combination, and you're playing against a Seattle defensive front that's stout.
Allen up to the 19-yard line. It appears as though the organization, they didn't say it, I'm going to say it, it appears as though they've gone south on Eugene Moore. 7th-year tackle, left tackle out of Virginia.
Yeah, Monroe's had a tough go. Concussion this year, right? Missed a bunch of games. Shoulder recently. Hasn't been able to finish many games, so now they finally made the move to put Osemele out at left tackle, and I think that's something John Harbaugh wanted to do a long time ago.
The last 16 games that Eugene Monroe started, he was only able to finish 3 of them. Lawson airing it out and incomplete.
Well, there's the pressure of 5 guys bringing, and that's what happens.
Let's check in with Mike Hill for a game break back in Los Angeles.
Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Andy Dalton out with a right thumb injury. Bengals might be in trouble. A.J. McCarron picked off by William Gay, 23-yard pick six. It's 23-7 Steelers in the third. Tom Charles, back to you.
Speaking of teams you don't want to play down the stretch, Pittsburgh getting that momentum now.
Well, Big Ben is playing as well as he ever has, and certainly will be a Hall of Fame career.
Defense is getting better and better, and people were worried about that as the season began. New coordinator and Keith Butler revamped secondary.
Penalty flag down, and again another jump ball to the 3rd-year wideout out of Central Florida, Aiken, and this time it's broken up, but a penalty flag is down.
Really big play by Earl Thomas that forced the ball into an incompletion. He caught it over, I believe it was Marcus Burley. And then Thomas came from center field, knocked it free.
Illegal use of hands to the face, number 20, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
It's a big call right there, so instead of punting it away, you get an automatic first down.
Here's Jeremy Lane, number 20 in white, working there against Chris Matthews, his former teammate. If they called that on number 20, they didn't have the call. Somebody, hopefully it's a different number, and it was somewhere else. But look at where they had it. Right here at the end, Marcus Burley going up trying to knock the ball away, but Earl Thomas is the one who knocked it free with the tackle from mid-center field. The call against Lane would be best described as phantom, because it wasn't there.
Right had an odd look to it. That was Daniel Brown. It appeared almost on an end around. And then he catches the pass and is up to the 28-yard line.
Did they miss the end around, or were they faking it and going, and then he had to check it down to him? Because a lot of times you fake the end around and then you're trying to get a bigger play downfield. and maybe had to check it back to Daniel Brown because no one was open deep.
Midway through this third quarter, Seattle scores on its first possession to go up 21-6. Baltimore desperately needing a touchdown here in this quarter to get back in this thing. Five-man rush, and a quick throw is complete to Jeremy Butler.
Bringing the pressure again on Jimmy Clausen.
And you're able to do that, Tony, when you know you have good tacklers in the secondary, correct?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Ravens not huddling up. Under 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. Third down and 2.
Wait for that! Hey! Check, we're good. Hey, 200 jet. Hey, set!
Ravens only 1 of 6 on third down. And you can now make it 2 out of 7 on the completion to Daniel Brown. Brown signed and released 3 times by Baltimore. 6 weeks out of football before they brought him back again, and it looked like he had a touchdown reception. And you talk about a phantom call. John Harbaugh still smarting over that penalty that was whistled against Brown that should have been a touchdown.
Yeah, I looked at it a bunch of times and still not able to locate the actual penalty. Wiped away a huge play for Baltimore.
And that was in a 15-13 loss.
It's a 52-yard gain. Big play, touchdown. You know, I mean, you take it all away. So that was a tough one for them, and they've had a number of those this season. That's made it difficult for the Ravens, amongst other things that have gone wrong for them.
Well, they have 17 players on injured reserve to the tune of $18+ million. 11 starters coming into this game missed a combined 39 total games. Yet, as it's second down and Clausen just throws it away. And really it began week 1. The All-Pro Suggs tearing his Achilles in Denver. Steve Smith, they brought him in. Jeremy Zuda out for the year. Re-injured himself a couple of weeks later. Forsett broke his arm. Flacco tore the ACL and MCL against St. Louis. And you cross out the 16, you make it 17 after they put Eugene Monroe on injured reserve just yesterday.
That's all your leaders on offense and defense.
Third down and 7. And boy, what a nice catch that was by Brown. But he appears to be about 1.5 yards, maybe 2 yards short of a first down.
And that's become the go-to play for Jimmy Clausen on third down. It's back-to-back third downs. They picked up at the third down on the previous attempt. This time they're going to be a little short. Look at Marcus Burley, 28, trying to play through the block of Kamar Aiken, who does a nice job holding him up. But look who's coming. Look who's showing up. Oh, yeah, that'd be Earl Thomas, the all-pro center fielder. Doesn't allow him to get to the first down marker.
Thomas had durable, reliable, despite his style of play. He just keeps on rolling. He's never missed a game.
Today's game is sponsored by Burger King. Now get 10 chicken nuggets for $1.49 only at BK.
We are back in Baltimore. So the numbers for Russell Wilson, 3 touchdown passes today. 4th consecutive game. That is a team record, breaking the old record held by David Craig.
From Milton, which is no longer a university or a college.
Red Jackson. Wrapped up by Mosley. Under 5 minutes to play in this third quarter.
You know, we talked about all these injuries that Baltimore suffered. I think the 1-2 Terrell Suggs has really affected a guy like Elvis Dumervil, who is so used to having that tandem guy. And now all the attention shifts to him as the pass rusher. He's still a great player, but not going to have nearly the numbers that he would normally have. He's out of the game at this moment. But when you have Suggs on one side, it frees you up for a lot more one-on-ones.
Curse. I guess he was able to hang on. It looked momentarily like that thing may have come loose, but he was able to corral it. That's a first down up to the 27-yard line.
That's really nice catch by Curse because that ball was not thrown as accurately as you would expect from Russell Wilson. That one's behind him, and his momentum's going in the opposite direction. Really nice job by Curse, and then all he wants to do is possess the football. He's not worried about extra yardage there. Just catch it and secure it.
Curse leading the team in receptions today, has 6 of them. Baldwin, the team leader in receiving yards, and has a pair of touchdowns.
You guys talked about Terrell Suggs earlier, just knowing him very well. Losing him was really crippling to this defense because he, being the leader, I mean, he holds everybody up to a higher standard. If he's going to run the ball, if he's going to rush the passer, he makes sure that everybody is running on every play, and he's not afraid in the locker room or just walking up to you and calling you out in front of everybody and saying, hey, listen, everybody's putting in the effort, and he just raises that defense to another level.
And it's a defense, again, you look at the competition level, especially the quarterbacks they have played over the last month. But again, nonetheless, Ravens defense has continued to play quite well. I mean, in fact, they've allowed the fewest passing yards of any team in the NFL and the second fewest total net yards over the last 4 games coming into today.
Dumerville has gone back on the field. And Gary Gilliam, the right tackle for Seattle, I think he's done a nice job against Elvis Dumerville for the day. I know he's gotten some help from time to time. They've chipped with the tight end and other things. But Gary Gilliam is really starting to come on as a player his first year as a starter.
Former tight end. Converted after 2 years from tight end to tackle at Penn State. Just sitting down in that zone, very close to a first down, is Lockett. And it is a first down. Let's send it back to Los Angeles to Mike Hill.
Hey, coach trying to stay on top of the AFC South, getting the battle from the Jacksonville Jaguars and their rookie. Rashad Green gets the punt from his own 27-yard line, takes it back 73 yards. Colts lose, Texans win, and Houston takes over first in the AFC South. Right now, Jags on top by 10 in the third.
Wow. Right now, when you think, Mike, you take the NFC East winner and the AFC South winner, and you match them the way it's gone. They're both going to be incredible battles to the end, but the records are not going to be anything that scares anyone in the playoffs.
Timeout, Seattle. Baltimore offense hoping to get the football back, trailing 21-7. Final minute 27 of this third quarter, and a first down for the Seahawks at their own 38-yard line. Wilson 3 touchdowns today without an interception. And he'll hand it off to DeJuan Harris. Now, Charles said it earlier. We're not a big fan of trying to sell you on passer rating. The only reason we bring this up over 3 straight games is to put it into perspective about what Wilson's doing right now compared to some stretches of guys that are either in the Hall of Fame or perhaps one way will be.
Yeah, you're looking at Staubach in. Kurt Warner has a heck of a shot at getting in. Aaron Rodgers, we know, is going to walk in when it's all done. Those kind of numbers, you're right, can't quantify them ourselves, but when you have those names, that's a big deal.
Pretty good company there.
Oh, yeah. No, if it dropped to the 45, it'll bring up third down. And 3 for Seattle. Baltimore's defense needs to get off the field. They've been out there a long time, almost this entire third quarter.
And keep an eye on when Russell Wilson does that zone read ride with the running back. The Ravens guys are going in trying to get a hit on Russell Wilson as well, because you got to treat him as if he were a runner. And Seattle's got to keep an eye on that as this game goes along. If you're going to run that play, Baltimore, I believe, has decided we're going to hit him as well. And let's see if Seattle wants to keep running it.
Should be the final play of this third quarter. And Wilson rolling out left. He'll run for a first down. And slides across midfield. And as the clock expires on this third quarter. 21-6. Seahawks in front. We're off to the fourth. Charles Davis, you touched upon it all the way back in the opening quarter. All 12 games for the Ravens decided by no more than 8 points this year, making Baltimore the first team in league history to have each of its first 9, 10, 11, and 12 games decided by 8 points or fewer. They have work to do here today, trailing 21-6 as Wilson starts the fourth quarter looking for the home run ball. And he got it. It is a touchdown for Tyler Lockett. "49 yards to the rookie out of Kansas State."
Now he's up at the top. Now he may be a rookie, but watch late in the route how he wins at the end. Look with Ladarius Webb. See that subtle little push off with the inside hand to clear himself just a little extra space. Nothing that's going to be called, but that was a veteran route done by a rookie. Getting that hand in late and just give himself just a little extra room against Ladarius Webb.
And that breakaway speed didn't hurt at all there,
No,
Charles.
that doesn't.
Man.
And just think, guys, when they drafted him, they thought they were getting a kick returner only as a rookie.
And right down the middle of the point after is good by Hauschka. So Seattle trying to pour it on here in the fourth quarter. The touchdown on the first play, 28-6. Last couple of weeks becoming a much larger part of this Seattle offense is a 23-year-old Tulsa, Oklahoma native, Tyler Lockett. He played at Kansas State under Bill Schneider and broke all the records held by his father, Kevin, who played at Kansas State.
And his uncle before his dad.
Yes. Well, the big fella Tony Siragusa stopping by Orioles center fielder Adam Jones, hosting a third annual Stay Hungry tailgate benefiting the Boys and Girls Clubs of Baltimore.
Hold it a second.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Charles.
Was that, Tony, was that Biz Marquis?
Biz Marquis. Oh, baby, you got what I need.
Look at you. Did you guys battle?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. You know, Adam Jones does a lot for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Baltimore, and it's great to give back. I mean, huge celebrity here with the Orioles, and just a great guy. And nice to see him at the game today.
See, I was hoping that Tony and Biz would battle up there. Go do a little riff back and forth.
I didn't bring my headset. I need my ears.
That's outstanding. Way to go, Adam Jones.
Indeed. We had a big Baltimore Orioles fan fest in downtown Baltimore over the weekend. Many teams around Major League Baseball have that. Lawson rolling and finds Butler up to the 25-yard line. A third down and 5 coming up. Almost an entire quarter to play. Miscommunication there between Chris Gibbons and Jimmy Clausen, but again, you can understand. I mean, look, it's easy to sit up here, and especially if you're a Ravens fan and with all the success his franchise has had, you know, going back to the Brian Billick era, Tony, you were here and winning a Super Bowl there, playoff appearances. John Harbaugh, 5 of his first 6 seasons. 6 of his first 7 seasons going to the postseason. He's won more postseason games than any other coach since 2008. But look, with all the injuries they've had, Aiken, the only healthy receiver who is even on the roster prior to October. Things like that last play, they're just going to happen. Block and drop to the 21-yard line. Downtown Baltimore, but it's Seattle's day today. (28-6) Seahawks. 13 minutes 54 ticks away from their 4th straight win and a number 5 spot in the NFC playoff picture. Put it in the hands of Kevin Smith.
All right, never let it be said that if I make a mistake, I'm not going to own up to it. Right? Remember I called Jeremy Lane? Watch this. I called it a phantom call that it didn't happen. Right there. See that? Got a little hand on the face mask. That was a call that was made. It was real quick. I missed that. I apologize to our great officials out there. I blew that call. Let's play some football.
There we go. And the Ravens said we're due for one anyway. This will be an interesting 4th quarter for Dajuan Harris. Now, a lot of people may be saying, give me a break. It's 28-6 here in the 4th quarter. But the bottom line is, if Thomas Rawls is for, you don't figure he's able to walk off the field. It's an ankle injury, but you never know till you get in there. And it starts to stiffen up and tighten up. And Marshawn Lynch is not going to be ready to go next week. I think that's a very safe bet. So all of a sudden, you might be playing Cleveland at home with Dajuan Harris as your lead running back.
And if he doesn't perform well today, you're scouring the waiver wires, saying who can we get that fits our style of play? What kind of thumping running backs out there that we can get going in a short order? And as you pointed out, you never know about an injury because
play of the game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Joe Flacco got hurt, played 2 more plays before he went out. That was toughness.
Let's kick it back to Los Angeles for a game break.
Well, Carolina has lost from running back Jonathan Stewart to a foot injury. So Fozzie Whitaker in there, and he just looks like Stewart, running over the Falcons for a 16-yard score. 38-0 right now, and they're still in the 3rd quarter. Tom, Charles, and Goose.
Got to start to wonder when all of a sudden Carolina gets the kind of respect that I'm not going to say every other team in the NFL would be getting when you're undefeated at this point of the year. And I don't know if many of you out there would agree with me, Charles, Tony. I'd be interested to hear your opinion because we've seen Carolina a number of times already this year. It doesn't feel like they're getting the kind of pub that an unbeaten team this late in the season would normally be getting.
I will join in. Cam's getting the pub, but everyone, when I say everyone, there's a good amount of praising Carolina with a question mark at the end.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how I feel about
their
it.
Their defense, I think, is unbelievable. And their special teams. So it's they're a team that has all 3 phases dialed in.
Well, that Jonathan Stewart injury could be an important one for the Panthers. He's having an outstanding year. This is Clay out to the 32-yard line. 12:02 to go. Seahawks in front, 28-6. Well, for the last 2 days, Russell Wilson, who's from Richmond, Virginia, entertained young Thomas Lapani, a 12-year-old from Wilson's hometown, diagnosed with cancer. His mother, Sylvia, his father, Matthew, here in town. In fact, Thomas had his 12th birthday yesterday. He came to our production meeting. We sat down with Russell Wilson, who hung out with him for a long, long time during the day yesterday, had him down on the field before the game today. And, look, anybody who's a mom and dad out there, I think you would agree with me as you look at the Lapani family. All of our thoughts and all of our prayers are with Thomas and so many other youngsters and their moms and dads and grandmothers and grandfathers and brothers and sisters in the same situation.
Without a doubt. And he handled the production meeting great yesterday, didn't he?
He did.
Sat right up there with Russell, ready to answer some questions if need be. Got out in the field in pregame, worked out a little bit with him. Tremendous sight to see. A great young man.
Guys, I can't say enough about a guy like Russell Wilson. He's just, he's a special guy. You talk to him, my son's here.
Number 71, offense, 10-yard penalty, still 1st down.
My son's here with me today, and He went right up to him and talked to him. And when you talk to a guy like Russell Wilson, he makes you feel so special. His attention is 100% on you, and he doesn't talk over you. He's just one of the class acts. I mean, I'm a huge fan of his because of the human that he is, not just the football player.
There's no doubt, Tony. It's so well said. He's a young man of tremendous faith, and you know, he's not afraid to tell anybody about it. He had some incredible stories he was sharing with us yesterday about, you know, his father was very, very ill when he came out of high school in Richmond, Virginia. He decided to go to college at North Carolina State University. That's intercepted by Richard Sherman. And then it looked like he was spun down right at the 38-yard line. Very few teams have thrown Sherman's way this year.
And he really wasn't trying to there, but he overshot the mark, I believe, and it found Richard Sherman. That ball found him more than Richard actually intercepted it. Watch Richard Sherman, 25. He's in coverage, but the ball was intended elsewhere. See that? Just overshot Chris Matthews, the former Seahawk. I think he took him down by his hair. I think this was tackled by hair at the end. Let's take a look and see.
Well, the hair is part of the uniform.
Yes, it is. It's not a penalty if the hair's out from under the helmet.
Well, Matthews might have been frustrated by getting worn out in practice every day by Sherman. So he says, take that.
How about Chris Matthews? Last year, his first catches of the season were in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
4 catches, was 109 yards and a touchdown. He ends up back on the practice squad with Seattle and then signs here with Baltimore and is finally activated.
Harris inside the 40.
Well, that is what? Richard Sherman's 26th interception of his career?
Most in the league since coming out of college. And, of course, many remember that he was the 154th player taken in that 2011 draft. Since that time, has more interceptions than any player in the NFL.
How about that's his 12th in December, January since 2010, the most in the NFL. He's another guy who elevates his game when it's near playoff time.
I want to get back to Wilson for just a minute. As Kearse breaks a tackle and he's inside the 20-yard line. You know, he's talking about going to North Carolina State, where, of course, he was a baseball player and a football player, finally deciding on football. He graduated in 3 years and then is told by his college coach after his 3rd year, look,
Tom O'Brien,
you're not an NFL guy.
And I think, and the other part was, if you're going to commit to baseball or football, you got to commit to football full time. I'm going to go with Mike Glennon if you're not going to commit. So what happened?
So he transfers to the University of Wisconsin, and because he had already attained his degree, he did not have to sit out for a year. And, of course, he led Wisconsin to the Rose Bowl. And then that's when he was taken exactly 1 year to the day he was released from his scholarship at NC State. He was drafted in the 3rd round by the Seahawks.
And what about in all the accomplishments? And we're seeing them all on display today. Not just the accomplishments, but the talent of Russell Wilson. But Tom O'Brien had told him, it's got to be one or the other for me. And Mike Glennon did a nice job for him at quarterback. Sure. But I would say anyone would look at it and say, I don't know if I'd let Russell get away. Didn't work out so well for Coach O'Brien in the end.
That's a great example of, you know, kids out there, if you have a dream, don't ever let somebody take that dream away from you.
Of course, he was drafted in baseball by these Baltimore Orioles. And he's just thrown his 5th touchdown of the day. And the 3rd one to Baldwin. It looked like Ladarius Webb lost his footing or maybe got turned around in the end zone, and it doesn't get any easier than that. And with that, a lot of the folks in this sellout stadium are jumping into the car.
Look to the right side of your screen. It's going to happen in this area. Russell Wilson looks off to the left, comes back to the right, and Baldwin is wide open because, watch Ladarius Webb in purple. Gets turned around, slips and falls, and it becomes a waltz for Doug Baldwin into the end zone.
And the injured Raven is Timmy Jernigan. The interception by Sherman.
That's where it started. That started this last drive towards the touchdown. His ex-teammate Chris Matthews makes the tackle after the interception. And look at him. I start it, you finish it, Doug.
Well, naturally, when you go to back-to-back Super Bowls, you'll have a lot of fans that'll jump on that bandwagon. Because 2 years ago,
some extra shocks on
there weren't any Ravens or any Seahawks fans hanging around here in Baltimore. There are a whole pile of them here now.
The 12's travel.
Flag down, point after good.
The 12's will travel.
Yes, indeed. Seahawks are under 9 minutes away from going to 14-2 in December since Russell Wilson took over as their starting quarterback. 14-2 in 4 years.
They know how to peak at the right time. There's no doubt. And, you know, we talked about the schedule this year. We've talked about it a little bit. But in the preceding years, you said to go through San Francisco twice, Arizona twice. St. Louis gives them trouble.
Number 41,
not easy.
Leaping. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. The try is good.
Well, they haven't needed a running game today because Russell Wilson is lighting it up. 5 touchdowns on the game. Career high tying 5 touchdown performance. That also matches a franchise record for the Seattle Seahawks. And you know what some of the teams and some of the people are saying back there in Seattle? Hey, who needs a running game? But
that's their identity.
Right.
That's who they are.
That's exactly
And that's
right.
what makes them that much better.
Well, Wednesday, an American soccer legend takes her final bow. Abby Wambach's final game. Team USA takes on China. Coverage begins Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern, only on FS1. And streaming live on Fox Sports Go. And by the way, it was the Colorado Rockies who drafted Russell Wilson. I beg your pardon, I had said the Orioles. It was the Rockies back in 2010. Terrence West, flag comes in late, up to the 38-yard line.
I just want to button up one point you had just made there,
Sure.
Tom, about the running game. And yes, that's Seattle's identity, and they don't want to vary that.
Holding, number 84, offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, still first down.
Yeah, they don't want to get away from that. That's who they are. As Pete Carroll likes to say, our running game completes the circle of toughness for us. But they have to, hearten wouldn't even be the right word. They have to feel, though, that if they have to play shootout games, they can actually play them now. In the past, they may not have felt that. I think with that guy there, number 3, all the knocks before, well, he doesn't do it from the pocket, and if the run game carries him in this, well, guess what? I think Seattle feels like if we have to play that game with someone on a certain day, we'll take our chances with 3 now, as opposed to in the past, and that's a big deal for them.
I don't think there's anything number 3 can't do.
Well, let's be honest about it. I mean, you know, some teams play shootout games because their defense can't stop anybody. If you're able to put some points on the board, if you're this Seattle team, you're going to have a hard time losing games.
Yeah, it used to be panic territory. If we can't run the football, being Seattle, how are we going to move the ball? Because Russell today, Russell Wilson's run the ball 1 time today, and it wasn't even a designed run. They have helped. He has evolved to that point. Their offense has evolved and changed to that point. It's a big deal for them as they head towards the playoffs.
Incomplete on a 2nd down and 3. And really, you know, we talked about how it's a perfect time of the year from a scheduling standpoint, really, and it's not to dismiss any team in the league, but, you know, Cleveland at 2-10 coming to Seattle next week.
St. Louis is the one that you really eyeball.
Well, they've given Seattle some problems. They beat them week 1.
And then last year saw them the last week of the season, St. Louis in Seattle. I think it was a 6-0 game at the half, and a game that Seattle had to win to clinch home field all the way through. So St. Louis is going to play them really tough, and who knows what that game with Arizona is going to mean in the last week of the season.
Marcus Purley is the injured Seahawk, so we will take a timeout. Well, right now, Seattle sits in the number 6 spot. That will change in 8 minutes and 27 seconds from right now. Both teams would have 8-5 records, but of course, Seattle a week ago beat Minnesota, so it owned the tiebreak. And again, whoever the number 5 seed is will more than likely open the playoffs on the road. And look, we're still 3 weeks away from deciding who's in and who's out. But, you know, little by little, there are games in the third column there. We'll go back to that column here in a moment. There are games being played by those teams in the third column where they're losing very important games today. The Tampa Bays, the Atlantas, the Chicago Bears of the world. I mean, they're in a position clearly unlike those on the far left-hand side, with the exception of the NFC East leader. But those teams in the far right can't lose any more games.
They wanted to keep the pressure up, keep it on. They've got to go out and improve it by winning games.
The Washington Redskins right now, you see on your screen a 3-point lead over the Bears, but that went a long way from being over at Soldier Field.
Yeah, Washington yet to win on the road this year, correct?
And just when you start to believe a little bit in anybody out of that NFC East, say lay an egg, as the Redskins did last week. What a catch that was. The first is a Raven for the former Seahawk Chris Matthews, who has something to say to some of his former teammates.
Now, does this look familiar from the Super Bowl? Think about him wearing a Seattle Seahawks uniform. I believe he wore 13 that day against New England, and the catches he made were elevated catches such as that. That's his forte.
He goes up and gets it.
Crossing pattern, a gain of 2. Let's send it back to LA and check in with Mike Hill.
So, Mike, I wonder, is it going to be one of those games where, is it a catch? Is it not a catch? Because that was the site of all that debate last year. And Dez is going back to the scene.
Seahawks, as Aiken is the injured Raven. Hopefully he's okay. I mean, he's one of the last standing in that. He is the last standing of that entire Baltimore receiving core. Before we talk more about Baltimore, tie a ribbon around the Seattle team, you know, the common feeling around the league is, Charles, we're watching what they're doing.
Oh, there's no doubt. I think everyone's looking at them. They're saying it themselves internally. We're the team you don't want to see come playoff time. And that number 5 spot that you talked about, that is the target. If you're going to be a wild card team, you want to be in the 5 spot because you really want to go and play the NFC East winner, whoever that is, because the way the season is unfolded, that's where you believe you've got your best shot if you have to go on the road. You go there, you go play whoever that is, whether it's Washington, New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles. Doesn't mean
Dallas Cowboys.
Doesn't mean you're a lock to win it by any stretch. We've seen teams with poor records before. In fact, the Seattle Seahawks went 7-9 one year, won the division.
That's right.
And guess what? Beat the New Orleans Saints, who were the defending Super Bowl champions. So we see that. But if you're going to play the odds, that's the game you target to go play first.
There's no doubt about it. Now they have sustained a couple of injuries here today. Thomas Rawls, and that's a very big deal because he's playing for Marshawn Lynch, who had abdominal surgery just 3 weeks ago. They're figuring he's at least a couple of weeks away from even getting back on the practice field. I don't think it would surprise anybody if we didn't see Lynch again until maybe the last game of the regular season and not the first game of the playoffs.
I wouldn't be surprised at all, depending on how it unfolds. And that will tell the tale, too, about how fast they might rush him back. You know, how fast they're going to do. They put him in the lineup. If there's a chance you can keep winning without him, then I think they'll continue to sit him and have him fresh for what they hope is a great playoff run. What a catch.
And what a throw made by Jimmy Clausen to Buck Allen, and he's inside the 20.
Clausen moving, throwing back against his body, low and fast. Nice job by Tavoris Allen reaching back and catching the football on the run.
Hey, tree.
Well, now you shift gears, though, fellas, over to the Ravens. We talked a lot about the Seahawks, and understandably so. Clausen throws nearly a miraculous catch, but out of bounds is Jeremy Butler. You know, look, the Ravens, at least over the last number of years, are playing in the most rugged division in the NFL. There's no debate about it. Last year, 3 teams out of the AFC North, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Steelers, all went to the playoffs. With Baltimore down this year, there's not quite the sparkle on that AFC North, although the Bengals and the Steelers look like they're on their way to the playoffs. But they've got to find a way to address some issues. They overhauled part of their operation during the offseason. And now what are you going to do after all the injuries this year? Steve Smith has talked about he was going to retire. Does he reconsider? You're going to have Flacco back, or at least you hope so, but how long and when?
What do you do offensive line? Because Kelechi Osemele at left tackle today, I get the sense that that's where they want to go and make him the left tackle. Make him the cornerstone of what they do. Eugene Monroe, I'd be surprised to see him back here again next year. But if you take him at left tackle, Marshall Yanda at right guard, you don't touch. That's a 4-time Pro Bowl. That's one of the best players in the league. But everyone else is probably up, is probably fair game to figure out what you want to do with that line and get them going to try and protect Joe Flacco.
Allen to the 10, short of a first down, brings up 4th down and a yard and a half. They're going to go for it naturally. 5:10 to go.
And the play he's liked to run in these types of situations is kind of an out route with an inside receiver breaking out, the outside receiver's breaking to the inside. If that's the case, keep an eye right here and see if they run that play again.
Looks like you're bringing the pressure on this one, guys.
That's who they go to, Charles. You called it.
Wrong route, but the right guy. I thought it'd be an out-breaking route with guys coming inside, him moving outside, but he moves to the inside and he tries to hit him on the crossing route, the slant route inside, and it's a little high and away.
Catchable ball, though.
Yeah, it's that, that's the difference, though, right? That's 4 and 8. Yep. And I don't mean that to be a real negative thing, but at 4 and 8, those plays don't get made. 8 and 4, got somebody comes down with the ball, don't they, Tony?
Absolutely. Find a way.
So Seattle with a chance with a couple of first downs to pretty much run this one out. And they'll bring in a new quarterback. Their one-time starter the year before Russell Wilson was drafted. Tavares Jackson. Also a starter in Minnesota. See his career numbers in his 10th year out of Alabama State.
And started his career at the University of Arkansas before transferring back and becoming a Hornet. You want to see a fun game, Tom? Go to that Alabama State-Alabama A&M game.
Really?
The Magic City Classic. We'll have to go one year. We'll have ourselves a
Count me in.
I'm in.
Tony?
I'm in.
And that's a party now, Birmingham.
It sounds like a party. It sounds like it.
That's a party in Birmingham now.
Up to the 15-yard line, brings up 3rd down. Saturday, the UFC's 9 Days of Fury ends with a world lightweight title fight. 2 heavyweight legends squaring off. UFC Fight Night free. All begins Saturday, 8 Eastern, only on Fox.
Tony, did you have Conor McGregor in 13 seconds last night?
Man, I'll tell you what, he just shocked everybody. Everybody who flew in and paid all that big money for the first 3 rows. It was almost like a Tyson fight. It was going to be out in a couple of seconds. I mean, he went at him, hit him in the jaw, down. I don't even think he broke a sweat.
It was over. I heard he was out before he hit the deck.
We talked about it last week. Guys with that accent, man, you got to fear those guys.
That is a first down catch. Will move the chains, and the clock will continue to go. First player going all the way back to 1970 with a passer rating of up over 138. And I got to be the first to admit, I have no idea how you come up with a passer rating.
All we know is that number is good because a perfect passer rating is 158.3. And how you get there? I'm with you. I don't know. But it's like the old Muhammad Ali thing when Howard Cosell said, "You're acting rather truculent there, champ." And Ali looked at him with surprise and then says, "I don't know what truculent means, Howard, but if it's good, that's me."
Of course, Richard Sherman was quoting Muhammad Ali this week. Asked about the Seahawks and their chances. He said, just like Muhammad Ali, all you guys wanted to say was washed up. And then he'd go out and deliver the goods to the next challenger and back on top of the mountain. 2-minute warning.
If you don't mind, I'll play the part of Richard Sherman, who right now is saying, "He caught me by my hair on the interception." And yeah, kid, see, if I had hair like yours, I'm still running. That's a touchdown. How come I didn't have hair like yours?
Exactly what he's saying.
How'd I do, guys?
He looks a little intimidated, the kid, though, doesn't he?
How'd I do? One-man show? No? Okay.
That kid says, "Hey, Richard, I'm looking good." That's Garrett Coleman, a rare carry for him. That's only his third one all year long.
And we got a little extracurricular. It's been a long year, tough year for Baltimore. Tough year.
Waiting to hear from Walt Coleman on this call.
After the play is over, personal foul, number 91, defense. 15 yards from the end of the play, first down.
You know, while we have a moment, we'd love to send out our deepest condolences to Richard Nelson, longtime member of the broadcast team as a stage manager for Pat Summerall and John Madden. He lost his beautiful wife of 52 years, Joanna Ruth Nelson, earlier this week. So certainly our condolences to the Nelsons. And speaking of John Madden, of course, he underwent open heart surgery earlier this week, so we wish him a speedy recovery.
Yeah, Coach. He still has a big hand in a lot of what goes on in the National Football League, too. I have a feeling the coach will be back on his feet real fast.
That's just burning time. Bonus coverage will be coming your way momentarily here on Fox, and that will be the conclusion of a good one going on in the Windy City, the Redskins and the Chicago Bears. All Seattle today, the 5th consecutive game of 29 or more points. That's a team record. Second game in a row. 5 touchdown passes over 3 weeks. Second time he's done that. Be the first time all year long the Ravens will play in a game that's not decided by 8 points or fewer.
And hard to believe, but, well, not hard to believe, but this is going to be John Harbaugh's first losing season as a head coach.
Yep.
He's done such a tremendous job here, been so consistently great. Hard to believe that that's happened here in Baltimore. But man, did you say 17 guys on injured reserve?
17 to the tune of over $18.5 million.
And all that lost time of great players and leaders, as Tony pointed out.
Yeah, you have a whole team on IR.
Hard to overcome that.
This will be the second time in the last 3 years, however, the Ravens will fail to reach a postseason. And that's going to do it. Impressive indeed for Pete Carroll's Seattle Seahawks, coming on the road against an undermanned Baltimore squad and doing what you're supposed to do to teams who, at least due to all the injuries, talent level, they're just not there with this Seattle team. Second largest home loss in franchise history. The other coming to the New England Patriots the final month of 2013. Wilson's the hottest quarterback in the league. He's got Cleveland, St. Louis, and Arizona. And then he's hoping what would be a 4th straight trip to the playoffs. All right, we're going to send it to Los Angeles. 35-6, Seahawks win it in Baltimore.